God'll get you for that one.
Maude is owned by Shout Factory.
God'll Get You for That, Walter, is produced for entertainment purposes only.
Sponsored in part by Findley's Friendly Appliances. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter.
Although he didn't get anyone in this
He didn't
episode.
There were a number of times he could have.
He could have, but he did not.
Welcome. My name is Tom Catt, and I am joined by my fabulous co-host, Miss Toni Homeperm.
Hello.
And this is God'll Get You for That, Walter, a podcast where we discuss the 1970s hit sitcom Maude.
Which starred B. Arthur, of course.
Which starred me. Which starred me, Arthur.
B. Arthur. Oh, my Lord.
And today is episode 31 and this is season 2, episode 7 of Maude, called Maude Takes a Job. It originally aired on October 23rd, 1973, directed by Hal Cooper, written by Norman Lear and Pamela Herbert Chase.
Yes.
And there are two guest stars, Tom Petty, not Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Not that Tom Petty.
But Tom Petty, who played Mr. Bungay, and Priscilla Murill, who played Mrs. Bungay.
Yes.
Who famously portrayed Mrs. Beatty.
Mrs. Al Beatty.
Mrs. Al Beatty of
Boca
Boca
Raton.
Raton.
On the Golden Girls.
From the Golden Girls. I believe the episode was entitled Rose the Prude.
Oh, is that what it
I think that was the episode, Rose the Prude.
Okay. Well, it's that famous episode, Rose sleeps with the
Sleeps with
guy.
a married man.
And well, she didn't know he was married.
She did not know.
But she sleeps with him, and she kills him.
She killed him.
And of course, that's how we find out that, Charlie also died when
Rose and him were in bed
slept
together.
with him. And, yes.
Just the show and the continuity of that show just tickles me. That's what we're gonna go over next after when Maude is when God Will Get You for That, Walter, reaches its fevered end. We will go on to the Golden Girls.
Absolutely.
But yes, this is Maude Takes a Job, and it opens with Walter shrouting.
Shrouting?
Combination of shrieking and shouting.
Shrieking and shrouting.
Shrouting at Florida.
Okay.
And how Maude is not home.
They were in the kitchen.
They were in the kitchen, so
Yes.
they enter into the kitchen.
Yes.
And again, Walter is yelling at Florida.
He wants to know where Maude is.
Yep.
Since she's gotten her, we find out that she's gotten her real estate
license, which was a very big deal in the 70s.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That was also when the big boom in real estate agents were happening, if I'm not mistaken.
And ever since she's gotten her real estate license,
She has not been home.
She hasn't been home to take care of Walter, make his dinner.
My personal favorite line was when Florida says, "Where is she?" And she goes, "To the best of my recollection, she ain't told me nothing. And anything I say could be looked at as hearsay."
That's right.
And Walter looks at her and goes, what are you talking about? And Florida says, "Well, if it worked for Watergate, it should work for me."
That's right.
Because I really do want to research the Watergate scandal, because it was very prominent. Like 72, 73, those were the years of the Watergate scandal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was very young, but I mean, I remember like when it all came out, and then they had, the Senate hearings and Nixon on the news. It was just like it took over like the whole world.
He wasn't a crook.
Yeah, but
he was a crook.
Yeah. And it took over the the whole world, really.
Yeah.
So Walter wants his dinner.
Yes, Walter wants his dinner.
Unfortunately, Maude did make him something.
With her own two hands.
Her own 2 hands, yes.
Green noodle surprise.
What the hell is green noodle surprise?
I try to think about what it could possibly be, and my initial reaction is that it's just gooped green beans with noodles.
See, now I'm thinking from a modern standpoint. I'm thinking like spinach fettuccine, like in a pesto sauce,
But I mean, on paper, sounds delightful. I would love spinach and fettuccine with pesto.
Right.
Like maybe and then put a chicken on top of it.
Oh, like a grilled
chicken.
Piece of grilled chicken?
Sounds delightful.
That would be good. However,
stay tuned for the God Will Get You for That, Walter cookbook.
For the cookbook, yes. Green noodles. We have to come up with
green noodle surprise.
Oh my Lord.
Walter's I Love You Day cupcakes.
Yes. Oh my God.
The wheels are turning.
That would be fabulous.
The wheels are turning.
Yeah. But it did not seem that Walter
appetizing. It was not well received.
Yeah, he was not happy with green noodle surprise.
He says that it smelled awful, and Florida retorts, well, it smells better than it tastes.
Yes.
So it's fascinating because in the beginning of the episode we get the understanding that Maude is a tragic cook, and then at the end of the episode she's making omelets and crunchy bacon.
Crunchy, crispy. I know. That's how my bacon has to be.
I love well done bacon.
It's got I
don't like limp bacon.
No, limp, rubbery, fatty, chewy bacon. Hell no.
I like it nice and crunchy.
I mean, I like it just like a degree below incinerated.
Where it still has some color to it.
Yes, just a lighter shade of infernal black. Yes. I guess.
Well, we love that journey for you.
That's how I like my bacon. That's how I like my bacon, and my husband too. We don't like rubbery, chewy bacon. No, we cannot abide it.
No abiding of the rubbery bacon.
So Walter now he's telling Florida that he needs a woman.
He needs a woman. He needs a woman for care and comfort.
Yes.
And she holds her hips and goes, well, whoop-de-doo.
Whoop-de-doo, right. Yeah, good for him that he needs a woman. So he ends up telling Florida he's letting her go.
Letting her go for the rest of the day.
He's going to just feed himself. I mean, come on! What did he needed her to spoon the green noodle surprise into the dish for him? It's like, ugh, come on. Oh.
Yeah, this episode sort of really catered heavily to the idea that man needs a woman and woman needs a man for financial support. It's a very sexist, misogynistic episode at the heart of it.
Yes, very much so about how the woman's role in the marriage is to take care of the man, to do everything for the man.
But again, this was also at the height of the women's liberation movement.
Yes. So Walter ended up burning his hand on the green noodle surprise. How many times? It's just a shout out to anyone listening. If you could probably do a shot game with this every time they say
green noodle surprise,
take a shot. Have to take a shot. I mean.
You'd be drunk within the first. You'd be drunk within the first 5 minutes.
Within the first 10 minutes.
First 10 minutes of the episode.
Yes. So that's when Arthur comes in.
When Arthur enters, and first and foremost, who decided that putting butter on a wound was a good idea?
That was a thing.
I had a feeling it was.
From my childhood, I can remember some people thought it was a good thing to put butter on a burn. It's not.
Don't recommend that. Don't recommend that at all. That's how you get infections. Do not recommend that. I mean, it was the same thing as chewing a piece of bread to stop choking.
Oh God.
Who came up with these things? What quack said that was a good idea?
Undertakers, perhaps?
Most likely.
Trying to drum up business?
Yeah, that's a good way to drum up business.
Just about everything, every time Arthur said something, I made in my notes, I just wrote douche.
Yeah.
And Arthur was just being
I will say this though. One of the first thing he says as he enters the door, man may work from sun to sun, but woman's work is never done. I transposed that in my earlier years. And I said, man may work from sun to sun, but Tomcat's work is never done.
I see.
Because I am everyone's mother,
This
see.
This is true. Except me.
Except you.
Except me.
I am not your mother.
No.
Unless we decide to do Tracy and Edna. And that is the only time that you will be my daughter.
Yes.
So that was one of the only things that Arthur said that was remotely entertaining.
Yes.
Everything else he said was pretty much rather cringeworthy.
So Arthur sees that Walter has burned himself, and he's telling him, you shouldn't be putting butter on it. You need a doctor's care. So Arthur kisses the boo-boo.
Kisses the boo-boo.
Felt like he was kissing the boo-boo.
Kissing the boo-boo. Didn't he also say that he was going to charge him $15 for a house call?
Oh, did he? He might have.
I think so. He's done that in other episodes. I just didn't know if it was in this one. God bless Conrad Bain. What a great actor that he can play this cringy, conservative, Republican, religious zealot that is Arthur Harmon, and then play what's his name
on different
strokes.
Yes, the father.
John Lithgow is playing that part?
When?
Oh, you don't know. So to those unaware, ABC is doing another one of their live in front of a studio audience things. They're doing the facts of life.
Yes, I saw that.
And they're doing different strokes.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know they were doing different strokes.
Kevin Hart is playing the Gary Coleman part.
Oh, okay.
Yes. John Lithgow is playing Conrad Bain's part. I'm very excited to see Catherine Hahn as Jo. And Jennifer Aniston as Blair.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And Gabrielle Union as Tootie. I want to know who they're going to get to play Mrs. Garrett.
Oh, I think I knew, but I can't remember.
Did they have it listed?
Yes,
Hold on,
do.
I want to look this up right now.
They do.
Looking this up right now.
I think, who was it? Do we know who's playing,
Natalie?
Natalie.
I know who it is, I just do not know the name. In front.
I've never watched any of these things where are they redoing episodes, or are they making like a new episode? How do they work that?
Live in front of a studio audience.
Who is it?
John Lithgow will play Mr. Drummond. Kevin Hart as Arnold. Damon Wayans as Willis. Ann Dowd as Edna Garrett. That tickles me so.
Okay.
Oh, does that tickle me?
And we don't know who's playing Natalie.
We do know who's playing Natalie.
We do.
It was. I'm pretty sure we had that. Or maybe we don't. They listed the actresses. I know they did. And again, I'm fascinated to see Catherine Hahn and Jennifer Aniston in those respective parts, as well as Gabrielle Union as Tootie.
I happened to watch the World of Wonder. They did the Drag Race Brady Bunch.
Why would you torture yourself like that?
I couldn't even watch the whole thing. Literally, I just had to.
As soon as I saw Candy Muse as Cindy, I was just like, "Oh dear." I would watch. Had they put Bianca Del Rio as Alice, I would have been a little bit more invested.
They had Bianca Del Rio as Mrs.
Brady, though.
The most boring character.
Truly the most boring character.
Mrs. Brady was the most boring character.
Truly one of the most boring characters.
It was not good.
It's a lot. That's a lot to handle. The Different Strokes cast, the facts of life. Allison Tolman as Natalie.
I don't know her.
I don't know her either.
Oh well.
Life continues.
Life continues. So
but again, like we mentioned these things, I am terrified for if and when they do Maude. Because they did Good Times, they did the Jeffersons. I would love to see Good Times. I would love to see. Did I say Good Times?
You said Good Times.
All in the Family.
All in the Family.
And
the Jeffersons.
And the Jeffersons. Not. I could have sworn I said Good Times. I'm so sorry.
But they haven't done Good Times.
They have not done Good Times. They have not done Maude.
Haven't done Maude.
And Norman Lear, I think, has actually expressed disinterest in that.
Okay.
I don't think he wants to put those two shows in front of a live studio audience presently.
Okay.
I would like them to, and I would love for my agent to do the smart thing and say, I have a real crackerjack B. Arthur impersonator who would be perfect for the part.
Yes, she would be.
But yeah, that is.
But we digress. So Maude, we hear Maude come in.
Yes, Maude enters
from the kitchen, and she's very excited.
Elated. She is elated with joy.
Because she may have sold her first house.
A $932 commission.
Which I was like, why wasn't Walter glad about this? That was a significant amount of money, especially for 1973. Excuse me. I would have thought, I would have thought Walter would have been glad.
I would have been thrilled. I would have been pleased as punch.
But instead he chose to be like an
overbearing male chauvinist pig.
Yeah, he was behaving like a
pouting.
little boy.
He was pouting.
Yes,
he was pouting.
Yes, and then Arthur continued to be a douche.
Yes.
And I know there was some discussion about the world's oldest profession.
Yes. So
Maude was pointing out how he didn't like seeing women like doing well in like what has traditionally
Where it was supposed
been
to be a man's world.
professions. The only thing that they ever
The only kind of encouragement that women would get from men is in the world's oldest profession.
Yes.
And before Arthur leaves, he says, "I could have been a midnight cowboy."
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
she
didn't-
told him if he had been a workman in the
Oldest
profession,
profession.
he wouldn't have made a nickel.
he wouldn't have made a nickel.
Yes.
And that's
when
Arthur says,
he
"I
talks
could have
about
been a midnight
could have
cowboy."
been a midnight cowboy, and
Except he
he's-
didn't like staying up. That's past his bedtime.
right. And
So he goes.
even did a little bit of everybody's talking at me. Now, did you ever see Midnight Cowboy with Dustin Hoffman? And
Did not say that I have.
Who was the other actor? Was that John Voight? I think it was John Voight.
Perhaps.
I
have
think.
not seen Midnight Cowboy, so I cannot comment.
Yeah, very, very depressing movie. A very depressing movie.
I mean, with a name like Midnight Cowboy, I don't expect it to be, a comedy.
No, it was not. It was not. And but I think Dustin Hoffman won the Academy Award for that.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And yeah, it was. And when it originally came out, I think it was rated X.
Really? Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Not that there was really any graphic nudity or anything in it, but I think it was mainly just due to the subject matter about male hustlers.
Yeah. They exist.
Yeah, they do.
Male sex workers exist.
Oh, yes.
We support them. We support
Yes.
male. We support. God will get you for that, Walter. We support any and all sex workers. You get that coin, dear.
That's right. I told my husband if he wants some, I expect at least $5.
Only 5? Where are your standards, ma'am? My goodness gracious! I just want $5. Just a 5, please. That's fine.
Just to do my wifely duties, thank you.
Only 5? It's oh my god! I'm so disgusted that I'm about to say this. My partner and I have been toiling with the idea of starting an OnlyFans, and I'm like, why? Why do we want to do that?
Please don't send me that link.
Wow! Okay. All right.
I feel like I would be like, my eyes!
I can't look at you right now. I refuse to look at you at this present moment.
Like when what's her name on Friends saw the naked guy across the street.
I am an ogre. I am the world's ugliest human being.
No, it's not bad.
Why.
It's not bad. It's because it's like it's like I feel like we're family.
Yeah, you're seeing a child do it. Yeah,
it would be like seeing a family member.
Yeah.
It's like if you ever walked in on your parents or something. It would be like
okay. Since we're going down this rabbit hole, there was a moment in time when me and my family were just sitting down. I'm pretty sure it was for either a birthday or Thanksgiving, some type of gathering. And the topic of sex came up, and my aunt who's married to my father's brother, my uncle, my mother's brother, I'm so sorry, my mother's brother. My uncle on my mother's side of the family. We were talking about how sex is a natural thing, and how we all didn't get here just by osmosis.
True.
And my aunt said something to the effect of could you ever imagine your parents having sex? And my mother's sister just made this really awful sound, I cannot imagine my parents having sex. And there are times when this is going to sound really, really, really awful, and I'm so sorry that I'm about to say this. There are times when that thought has crossed my mind where I have thought about my parents having sex, and it's not disgusting. It's not that. Please let me preface. It also does not turn me on.
God forbid.
But it's one of those things where I'm it's a naturally occurring thing.
Of course.
When you address sex, you also have to acknowledge the fact that we got here by somebody having whoopee.
That's true. It's very true.
So it's really just one of those things. But I mean, there are some people out there that I just cannot imagine having sex.
Or you do imagine it, and then you immediately
regret that decision.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's part and parcel of being a human being. Because you're a human being, there are people out there that engage in sexual practices that end in procreation.
Of course.
And to our asexuals in the group, God bless you.
Yes. Oh, Lord. So, Arthur leaves.
Arthur leaves after everybody's talking at him. And Walter is just
still upset.
Very upset. And Maude is trying so hard not to let her good mood sour his day.
And what was it? I noted something about trapped gas. What was it about the
He
gas?
looked like he was having an issue with trapped gas bubbles.
That's it.
Because that was the type of face that Walter was making.
He had on. And
he had trapped gas bubbles.
And he's going on about how he had a bad day.
And Maude is remorseful.
Yeah,
he had a rough day at the office, and Maude is remorseful. Where she's just like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Please tell me about your day. And before he has an opportunity to open his mouth, Maude cuts him off, saying, "This is what happened at the Connolly's house with the Kaplans."
Yes,
I know. I'm sorry. This is what happened with the Kaplans, showing the new house.
Yes,
and how she flushed the John.
Yes.
You know how the toilet worked. I literally put down. Toilet, it worked. And that was it. And she flushed the downstairs John. And it worked. And it worked. And she says, aren't we lucky? My cup runneth over.
Yes.
So there was laughs about that.
Yes.
So before, again, she says that the Bungays were coming over to look at the Connolly house.
Yes.
So Maude races to the living room because
the doorbell rang, and that's the doorbell rang. The Bungays.
She knew it was the Bungays.
Now, when she opens the door and we see it's the Bungays, that's when we see Tom Petty. Not
Tom Brady and the Heartbreakers.
Not Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Tom Petty, not Tom Petty, because
Petty.
that dyslexia really likes to rear its ugly head from time to time, doesn't it?
And Priscilla Morel, who
you
would recognize from many sitcoms and things.
Yes. She was very much in that. Like, good for her agent getting her those bit parts.
Yes.
They paid her bills.
Yes, and we all remember her as Mrs. Albeity from Boca Raton. On the Golden Girls, and probably one of the more memorable episodes of the Golden Girls.
Yes,
I think
I agree.
So I think that's one that stands. It's one that stands out.
It's a standout. That's definitely a standout episode.
It's amazing that those writers were able to take something that Rose slept with a guy and kills him, and still were able to make it funny.
Yes,
so.
I mean, obviously, death is a very morose subject.
Yes.
But the way you look at it is the way that it is written. If it is written as comedy, it will be perceived as comedy. If it's written as morose, it'll be received as morose.
Very true. So I believe the phone also rang.
Yes, the phone rang while the Bungays were introduced. So the Bungays came into the house. And Maude was like, the Connolly house is down the road. Thank you guys for meeting me here.
Yes.
And as, the Bungays are looking at the house, they're taken aback. They
want Maude's house.
Tom Petty had this really awful New Jersey accent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, heavy.
Yeah.
And Priscilla Morel walking around with this transatlantic voice.
Yeah.
And Tom Petty walking around like, no.
Yes.
It was so bizarre. It took me out of the episode for a moment.
How did those two ever get together?
How did those two get together?
I don't see it. Could you imagine Mr. and Mrs. Bungay having sex?
No. Oh, please, Mr. Bungay, please give it to me. Oh, sure thing, little lady.
Oh, Lord. I keep wanting to call him Mr. and Mrs. Bengay.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of Bengay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm a fan of that.
Such a weird name, Bungay.
So, moving gaily forward.
So they're checking out the house.
They're checking out the house, and they go to Maude saying, is this house available? And Maude, being a real estate agent, trying to be this sort of very charismatic salesperson, turns to them and says, any house is available at the right price. Sure. And Mr. Bungay turns to her and says, I'm in meat.
Yeah.
I got the right price.
Got the right price.
So the phone rings and Maude goes to answer it. And before she has an opportunity to tell the Bungays, you guys can wait in the car.
Right.
They start taking a look at the house.
Yes.
Because, they don't make stairs like this anymore. They don't make appliances like this anymore.
Right.
Maude even said, we loved it. We loved the loved that staircase. And we're so glad it came with the stairs.
It came with the stairs, yes.
So Maude goes to answer the phone, and the Bungays go into the kitchen.
Right.
But before that, Maude answers the phone and goes, "Hello? No, this is not Mr. Finley. This is Mrs. Finley. Yeah, thank you. You have a clarion voice, too." So the Bungays go looking in the house. Walter blows up.
Well, they go into the kitchen.
They go into the kitchen.
Walter is still eating the green noodle surprise.
Surprise.
If you've been following along, this is your chance to take a drink.
This is your chance to take a shot.
Take a shot. Green noodle surprise. There went another one.
So,
I hope you're still with us.
We hope you're still with us. Please enjoy your green noodle surprise.
Yes.
So Walter is enjoying, quote unquote, enjoying as best as he can his dinner.
To enjoy it.
And the Bungays come into the kitchen, and they're like, "Oh, look at this beautiful kitchen. How much is Mrs. Findlay wanting for this house?" And Walter chokes on the dinner and starts blowing up at them, just being a really, really, really uncouth human being.
Yeah.
Because he is clearly in a state.
Yeah.
He is in a state today.
I mean, he was like totally surprised at these people coming in, and then ask him how much is the house.
So Walter says the house is not for sale.
Not for sale.
And the Bungays are like they're like, okay, that's fine. We thought Mrs. Finley was selling the house.
Mm-hmm.
And
he threatens to give them some of the green noodle surprise.
Which, I mean, I don't think anybody wants that.
No, I don't think ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
And so Maude comes in, and she's trying to pacify
everything
Walter
that just happened.
And
she turns to him and she goes, "Thank you, Walter. And to show you I'm not ungrateful, I'm going to let you know that your love life is going to be a
rerun of the Donna Reed show."
Yes, your love life is going to be as scintillating as a rerun of the Donna Reed show.
Yes. So I just loved how Donna Reed looked.
I mean, who didn't? Who didn't love how Donna Reed looked?
She was
very elegant.
Beautiful dress and pearls, and she'd be vacuuming.
And domestic goddess.
I mean,
with that beautiful hair of hers.
Yes. So Maude is she's ushering the Bungays out of the kitchen, out the door, and she tells them that they think Walter has a calcium deficiency. Yes. So Maude she's humiliated now.
I would be too.
Of course.
I would be furious with my husband if he did that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I would be absolutely furious.
I mean, personally, what I would have done is I would have, I always do, and I would just been, nice and smiled, and then when they were gone, that's when the real me would be like, what
the hell were you thinking?
Yeah.
What in God's creation
made
you decide to do that?
Yes. I mean, that's how I would operate, but Walter was not going to go that route.
He was not going to relent. Because we needed to know that Walter was upset.
He was upset.
We needed to know that Walter was upset.
He was being like a little boy.
I have written down 10-1. You probably got more on this than I did. I said 300 girls in Kentucky with a marriage license.
Yes, because Walter is she's bringing up that she's got a real estate license, and Walter has to remind her, well, you also have a marriage license.
And then that's when she says, so do 300 girls in Kentucky that are age 9.
Right, yeah.
Which...
Well, I mean, it still happens down in the South,
sad.
Very young
child brides.
Disgusting.
They exist. It's unfortunate.
The idea of it is.
The idea is grim. The idea is gruesome.
It's disgusting. It really is. But it still happens. I mean, there are some states.
Wasn't there a show on TLC called Child Bride?
Probably.
I think it was a docuseries.
Could have been. I'm sure there was.
We love the Learning Channel.
Oh. Or just as bad, like those child pageants.
Oh, prostitutes.
Oh.
That's what I call them, prostitutes.
Oh.
May God forgive it. It's just really unfortunate.
I can't abide those things.
They gave us Honey Boo Boo, for Christ's sake. We don't need them.
Yeah. No. Sorry.
Oh, dear.
So Walter's Maude tells Walter that she needs more than just woman's work.
Yes, because oh my goodness gracious. So Maude is getting ready to leave, and first and foremost, the Bungays were honking their horn
I hate that.
at Maude.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a client. You would never do that. There is not a point in time where you as a client would honk at the person trying to sell you a house.
Right.
So that, I could not suspend my disbelief for that.
Yeah.
Like, that, the first time I watched this episode, I'm like, oh no. Absolutely not, sir.
You're like, oh, hail to the no.
Correct.
And at one point, she sticks her head out and she's like,
Hi kids! Be out in a sec.
Hi, kids.
Hi kids.
Hi, kids. Be out in a sec.
So she goes back in the house after that moment, and like it just
we've got Maude and Walter
going back and forth.
Not even going back and forth. They're like yelling, trying to yell over each
other. The claws are out. The claws are out, and something to the effect of Walter saying, because Maude says, I stay at home while you're out late at work. You don't hear me complaining.
Right.
And Walter's like, well, that's because you're a woman and I'm a man and this, that, and the third. And she goes, so that's where we're at right now. The man is supposed to work and the woman is just supposed to stay at home and do the cooking and the cleaning and the sewing.
Right.
And Maude wants more than that. Maude wants a job. Like, I look at this episode and I see a lot of my family dynamic because my mother, hilariously enough, my mother was a real estate agent for a little bit. Because what happened was when my mother had me and my brother and sister, it was addressed and discussed with the family that my mother would stay at home and take care of the kids while my father would go out and work.
Right.
That was the agreement.
Right.
When the children were of age, whether it was, I'm pretty sure I was in my 20s, my sister was about to become 20, my brother was, at that point my mother was told, go out and get a job. Now, here's the fun part. How is my mother supposed to work and then come home and cook and clean and take care of the house?
Yeah.
There's only so much responsibility we can put on one person.
Exactly, yeah.
And that has led to a number of arguments in my household, as I'm sure you're well aware. So it's very interesting that, again, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So, because these arguments are still very much happening in modern houses.
Of course. So, Maude and Walter, they're continuing.
They start arguing over each other.
Which leads to
Walter yelling, Maude, sit.
Maude, sit.
So she sits down, and he's all smiling now, and he goes, you know what you did? You made a lap.
A lap.
Like, just, again, one of those moments where you just want to reach through the screen and punch somebody.
A lap.
So he goes, and he goes and lays down on Maude's lap. And he's like saying, this is what I want. I have a pattern, and you fit into that pattern. And Walter gives her an ultimatum where it's like, it's the Bungays or me.
Right.
And again, at that point, divorce would very much be on the table.
Sure.
But that's a modern perspective, not so much a 1970s perspective.
And when he says that, it's the Bungays or me, period. There was total silence. It got very quiet.
Well, I mean,
very dramatic.
That's happened a number of times where in Maude throughout the course of the series, where Walter will like throw these ultimatums at Maude, and it's like, again, B. Arthur is such a beautiful actress because she will take those moments and milk them for all they're worth. Like, there was the ultimatum, and like a hush falls over because Maude is played as this very aggressive, domineering feminist. So when that is quashed and you're not hearing it anymore, it takes you. It just you become more invested in the show. So yes, we love B. Arthur. We're waving the B. Arthur flag.
Yes. So at that point, like she got very quiet. She was putting the briefcase down.
Yep.
And she's telling Walter that, you're my life.
She gets very emotional.
Yes.
She gets very emotional because you hear the lilt in her voice.
Yes.
Like, you're my life, you're my world, I want to do everything right by you. And I promise that this will, I think she said, like, this will be this will be it,
Right.
or that's fine, like you win, I'll relent.
Yes.
Just as soon as I'm done with the bun gaze.
Yes, this is as soon as I'm done showing
Just
finish
as soon as
showing this house.
Races
out.
Races out the door. So that's when we cut to commercial.
That's when we have a commercial break.
And Maude is like downstairs pacing, and she's screaming.
She's in
for
her
Carol.
her night,
which I love that
dressing
nightgown. I love that dressing gown.
Yes,
It's
very pretty pink, very feminine.
I want all of B. Arthur's clothes.
We
I
know
just want Maude's wardrobe. That's it. I just want Maude's wardrobe.
We know this, dear.
Thank you. I know, but it bears repeating.
I know. So she's calling for Carol. And Carol starts coming down the stairs, and Carol's
she is
in her
exhausted.
Yeah, it's
she's
2
in
a.m.
She's in a very cute little number, actually, where it's
like sleep shorts and top matching, very cute,
very very cute.
And Walter's gone.
Walter's gone.
She doesn't know where he is. Carol, I think, asked her if did she ask Arthur? Arthur hasn't seen him, and his brown sports jacket
that makes him look like Caesar Romero.
Yeah, Caesar Romero.
So the double-breasted brown blazer.
Mm-hmm. I heard something about Caesar Romero being gay.
Oh, yes,
I didn't know that.
Caesar Romero was very gay.
I didn't know that.
Yep, Caesar Romero was very much a. I can't believe I'm about to tell this story.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my God. It was purported, it was purported that there were times when Caesar would have young men throw bits of orange at his booty hole.
Uh-huh.
Don't ask me where that rumor started.
Okay.
But it was purported that that was what Caesar Romero would engage in with his young men lovers.
Interesting.
But yeah, Caesar Romero.
Everybody has their thing.
Everyone has their kings.
I mean, what goes on between consenting adults is their business. If that involves navel oranges, so be it.
Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling, Clementine.
So that's she's worried because apparently if he's out in that sports jacket,
that means he's looking for some.
He's looking for some nookie.
He's looking for a woman. Mm-hmm. He's looking for a woman to share his problems with.
Yes, and Carol is she's dozing off on the couch while Maude is trying to tell her this.
Yep.
Maude is yelling
bereft.
To wake her
She
up.
is bereft with grief.
He's been missing for 5 hours.
Yep.
So she decides to call
the police. So she calls the
first
number, which is the faster route to get to the police directly.
And that was busy.
And it was busy. So she screams at the phone, who could be talking to them at this hour?
Right. So that's when she calls the operator to connect her to the police.
Yep.
And tells them that there's a missing person, and she's describing Walter.
50, about what, 5'7", 5'9". Bald spot that you can only see from the top of the stairs. And the police officer asks, is this his boyfriend?
Yeah.
To which Maude says, no, this is not his boyfriend, this is his wife.
His wife. And I think she just hangs up the phone.
Yeah, she just hangs up the phone.
And she's going on that, Walter, he could be lying in a gutter
or worse. And she is, again, just bereft with grief, like, please, 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 God, bring him home. Bring him home, like, crying, sobbing.
Yes,
and then Walter,
pleading with God, she'll do anything if he just returns home. And of course, at that point,
Walter walks in, the facade is dropped.
Yes.
Maude turns to him and goes, where the hell have you been?
Yes, and I'm sure a lot of parents could probably
relate to that
when if your kid is out.
I know my parents relate to that very heavily. In fact,
not knowing where you are, they're like, please God, just turn him home.
Bring my baby home.
And you walk in the door like this is going on.
Where the hell were you?
Where the hell have you been? I've been up waiting for you all night.
Yes. Oh my God! If I ever moved in here, that's exactly what the dynamic would be.
Yes. Oh.
So, Walter comes in and he's like, I was out.
He was out.
And Maude's like, what do you mean you were out?
Yeah.
And Walter says, every time I come home and you're not home, I'm going to go out. And
Maude said, oh, so you're trying to blackmail me?
Are you trying to blackmail me to quit my job?
Yeah.
And he goes, yes.
Yeah.
And she goes, yes, that's an even worse answer than no, than out.
Yeah. So then she's trying to negotiate, and she's saying that she'll cut down on nights and weekends.
And Walter says, Maude, when do real estate agents usually work? And Maude goes, nights and weekends.
Yeah.
So that's when Walter says, I'm an old-fashioned man who wants an old-fashioned marriage, and I have a specific pattern in my life. If you can't fit into that pattern, then we have to address this.
He wants an old-fashioned marriage.
Yep.
Maude is angry because she feels that she's the one who always has to give in.
Yep. And that is a conversation that's come up a number of times in Maude, where she'll have to just relent and give in. And she even said, I'll surrender to save my marriage. It's what women have done for years. Yeah. I guess I'm just another victim of that same mentality.
So Maude, she basically acquiesces.
Yep.
There's your SAT word.
Yes.
And she says that she'll quit. She'll surrender to save the marriage. She
just has one request.
Yes. She has a request.
I'd like to have my feet bound.
Feet bound.
Because, she's likening herself to a geisha girl.
Yes.
Where just bound feet, and I think she even said kung fu, Walter.
Yes.
And as they go up the stairs, Maude bows her head and walks out.
Yes.
In a very relatively cringy way.
Yeah, very,
a very anti-Asian kind of way.
Stereotype.
Very much so. Very much of that.
But that was commonplace.
Very commonplace. Very commonplace
for that time.
But I mean, I feel like that was the norm in a lot of sitcoms early on, where they would rely very heavily on the stereotypes of certain groups.
Yes. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. I said it, and it is a stereotype. And even the commercials at the time, where they had the thing about the laundry detergent and the ring around the collar. And they brought the laundry to the cleaners, and they were like, oh, how did you get that out? And it was an Asian actor or actress, and they were like, ancient Chinese secret, and it's like very. It's very, cringy, anti-Asian rhetoric.
Yeah, very much so.
Still
very much a thing these days.
Still prevalent, and it's
It's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. Yes,
it is unfortunate.
But we're here to educate people.
Well, we are here to
move away from that.
That is one of the reasons why we have one of the reasons why we have the show in the first place is to go over a lot of the racist nonsense that happened years ago. Like I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine where him and I were addressing just how things have changed in terms of media and sitcoms and whatnot, and he's like, well, why did they do it back then? Like, why didn't they just not do it at all? Like, why are we still supporting these shows that have been long since canceled, long since ended? Like, why are we still focusing on all of that? And I think the trigger for this conversation was that Hulu removed an episode. It was called, oh my god, what was the episode of The Golden Girls that they removed?
Oh, where
Hulu removed.
They came out. They had the clay masks on.
Yes,
and
they likened it to blackface.
I remember that one.
And then Hulu removed. I think it was called. The episode was called Mixed Blessings.
Yes,
and it was the episode. Oh my god, my memory when it comes to that show. The episode of The Golden Girls was called Mixed Blessings, and it was the episode where Dorothy's son Michael comes home with a not only black wife, but a mature black wife.
Yes.
And there's one part in the episode where Blanche and Rose come out
of the kitchen,
and they have brown clay masks.
Yeah, they were doing like face masks.
And it was very much looked at with a critical eye, which honestly, I don't believe that it was. There are far worser things to... Now, again, white, queer person here addressing this. And a lot of the times when there is this sort of... I don't want to use the term canceling, but every time there seems to be this question of, is it right or is it wrong, there really was not a large outcry for it. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example for the queer community. I think There was, oh my God, everything that I want to say is just gone right now.
Oh my.
But there was an example in terms of queerness is where there is this sort of made up issue. Like, I'm gonna pull an example out of my hat. Like, a lot of queer people are upset that the new Santa Claus commercial has Santa Claus depicted with a male partner.
Right.
And it's like, no, none of the queer people are upset about that. Why
I don't know anybody
are we
upset about
having
it.
this sort of faux hysteria?
Yeah.
And I feel like that sort of is what happened with the Mixed Blessing episode. I don't know who brought it up to them, but a lot of people were just like, oh, well, the black community was complaining about it. I don't believe they were. I don't think that, again, faux hysteria.
Right.
And that was the conversation that me and this friend were having. We're having this conversation about not only the faux hysteria, but also why the episode is still being played today. Why are we still giving these quote unquote racist shows a platform?
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with nostalgia.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with understanding the past. A lot of it has to do with, paying attention to sitcoms through history. And
but I don't feel like that. The overall episode, though, I feel it was very anti-racist because it was
Mixed Blessing? Oh, very much so. Very
know.
much so. It was just, and listen, if they're going to cancel that, if they're going to cancel. If they're
cancel culture.
If they're going to have that much of an uproar about the Golden Girls and Mixed Blessings, then they should have had the same thing for Designing Women when Suzanne did blackface.
Did do blackface.
Do blackface.
Right, she literally did. I mean, I think that was far worse.
That was far worse, because that was legitimate.
Yeah, although even within the episode, they said it was,
was
wrong.
Yes.
They
Julia,
did point out.
Julia, Charlene, Mary Jo, they all basically said, like, this is wrong, right?
Yes.
Like, Suzanne, this is bad. Like, don't do that.
Now, I've even seen online people criticizing Raven from Drag Race for doing her foundation too tan, calling that blackface. And I'm like, I don't feel that's not blackface to me.
I have a lot of opinions.
I mean, what do you feel? I mean, I feel like if just using a darker foundation to make yourself look tan. If anything, she looked more tan.
In terms of makeup and drag, and because in the cosplay community, this is addressed a number of times. If you are going to darken your foundation for the sake of a look, don't. If the character in question calls for you to darken your complexion or even lighten your complexion, don't. Because there's actually a Batman cosplayer out there that is black that will paint his face white.
Caucasian?
He will paint Caucasian.
Oh.
And it's just, it's very cringy. Like, it's a conversation that's come up a number of times. And it's gotten to the point where, like, oh, well, there's another cosplayer, there's another entertainer who's, like, darkening their skin tone for the sake of an outfit. And it's like, just don't do that. If you, and I'm going to use Ariana Grande as a specific example here. If you look at the evolution of Ariana Grande, she has gotten progressively tanner, and now she apparently has done something different with her face to make her look another race, and it's like, why? Why? As far as Raven is concerned, if you look at Raven in her season, she is very pale. She has a very pale complexion. Raja has a very dark complexion. And as we've seen Raven continue to progress, we've seen her darkening her foundation. And is it cringy? To me, yes. Because
now here's the thing I'm curious about. I mean, she is, I'm assuming now, like, living in California because she does all this stuff for World of Wonder. Is her natural complexion more tan now since she's living in California?
I genuinely do.
I mean, maybe is she using darker foundation because she's
She's becoming darker.
Because she's more tan, living in California?
And again, that's another one of the gray areas, because a lot of the things that you'll see is people will say, oh, well, they're Italian. Oh, well, they're Spanish. Yes, they are pale during the winter. They are darker in the summer. And it's just becomes different shades of gray. And it is not something that I, as a queer white person, can make a comment on, because one, I have never darkened my skin tone to make myself look a certain way.
Right.
I will say this, the only time I did do that, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, the only time I did darken my complexion was when I was portraying a grandmother clock.
Okay.
And I matched the brown on the wood of the grandmother clock to my face.
Right.
Me and the director of the production said, let's try white. Let's do a pale complexion with gold cheeks and gold accents. It did not translate well. It did not look good with the overall look. So we used a darker foundation. So I'm like, okay, this is bad. This is bad. But for the sake of the artistic piece, and that's what gray, shades of gray. It becomes a question of morality at that point. Is this a good idea? Will this come back to bite me in the ass? And there have been friends of mine that are white that have dressed up as Flavor Flav. There are friends of mine that have dressed up as and done things that involve darkening their complexion. There was that one congressman in, what was it, Kansas? Kentucky? Montana?
I don't remember.
It was some congressperson somewhere that was caught doing blackface at a Halloween party years ago.
Yes.
And, you know, it doesn't excuse what you did. You have to acknowledge it. You have to absorb it. You have to say, yes, this happened. I'm now going to try and move forward from it. Because, you know, an apology is one thing. Changed behavior is another.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, if you are willing to put in the work and educate yourself to the plight of different races or the plight of different sexualities. Like, there's a lot of people out there that will actually question whether or not wearing a fat suit is becoming problematic.
Right.
Like, and I'll use a phenomenal example. There are people that feel that if you are going to cosplay as Ursula, you should not, or if you're going to dress up as Ursula, you should not be thin. And a lot of it has to do with representation. A lot of it has to do with there are only so many larger than life roles out there for you, for a larger person to play. There are only so many black roles out there for a black person to play. There are only so many marginalized person type roles to play. So it's very much that gray area where, like, is Raven problematic for darkening her foundation? I don't know. Is she?
Yeah.
What is her current what is her current skin tone?
I don't know.
Like, these are conversations that are going to continue to come up, and it's going to reach a point where, because there was even a conversation that I had with another drag friend of mine who was like, I use a darker foundation when I do my contouring, or I use a darker foundation because I'm very, very pale and I cannot find a foundation that matches mine. So I do, and it could only be a shade. It could be a shade darker. It could be maybe 2 shades darker just to give the face a little bit more life.
Right.
But rule of thumb, if you have to ask if it's problematic, don't do it. If you ask yourself, is what I'm doing wrong? Then you probably should not be doing it in the first place. And that's been my rule of thumb for anything that I've done. Like, another great example, in the voiceover community, they want to cast authentically.
Right.
And I know a lot of people that really have a problem with that. Because it's like, if you are able to voice the character, you should be able to voice the character. I'm sorry, if the character is written as black, if the character is written as Asian, if the character is written as queer, it should be offered to those individuals.
Right.
And it should not be offered to anybody else. Right. And there are wars fought over that discussion. So, you know, that discussion comes up a lot in terms of the creative world. For me personally, I've already made a pact with myself. I will never cosplay as a black character if I can help it, because thankfully there have been no characters that I'm like really resonating with, or like where I'm saying, "Ooh, I want to imbue that," because that's not my story to tell. Right. It's just not. Right. There was one point in time when I wanted to dress up as one of the muses from Hercules, but then I'm like, I can't do that. Nope, I refuse. And again, it's a moral question. It's a question of morality. Do I, as an individual, want to play a black character? No, because it's not my story to tell. It's not the part was not written for a white queer individual. Right. It happens in drag as well. You're going to have people who are like, well, you really shouldn't perform that song because it's seeing it doesn't matter the size, but seeing a white person sing I Know Where I've Been, it's that moral area where you're going to have people saying, well, that's really not a song for you. That's a song for this person. It's a very interesting topic that we will be addressing much more at different times. Not even at a later time, but at different times.
Oh my.
So
where do we leave off? My God.
So to get back to the topic at hand, Maude surrenders to save her marriage. And I'd like to have my feedback. So at that point, we open to the third act of Maude Takes a Job.
The next morning.
So Maude is
kitchen,
aggressively making
cooking,
breakfast.
Yeah, slamming things. Carol comes in, and she can tell that Maude is pissed.
Yep.
And I know there was Carol was saying something about she had to get to work.
She had to get ready to go to work, and then Maude is furious.
Yes. Because Carol gets to go to work.
Yep. Because Carol gets to
Maude
work.
is just stuck at home, cooking and cleaning and whatnot.
Yes.
So that's when Walter comes in.
Well, actually, she barked at Carol. She was just like, sure, just rub it in my face.
Yeah.
Fun, exciting daughter goes out to a fun, exciting job while old housewife stays home and cooks.
Exactly.
So waiting for Tarzan to come downstairs.
To get his loincloth
pressed.
Oh. At which point, Carol, she leaves. Walter comes in, and then Maude, she's doing this so treacly, sickly,
Reed.
sweet, voice to him.
Hello, my darling.
Being the perfect wife. And it's
Good morning, my darling.
Yes, it's so un-Maude.
It's so
Maude.
It made me uneasy.
I know.
She called him an old poopy-doo.
Yes. She gives him his juice. The
sunshine tree.
Yes, juice from the sunshine tree. And
an omelet with bacon done to a munchy, crunchy crisp, just like you like it.
Yes.
Raisin toast.
Lightly buttered.
And
no,
again,
domestic. Raisin toast with an omelet and bacon? I'm like, no. Ugh.
I've had that. It's delicious.
No.
Do you want to?
I like raisin toast, but not with savory stuff.
I love, because I've done this a number of times. Do you know in Whole Foods or in Aldi's, they'll have that that specific bread, that apple cinnamon raisin. They'll have that really, really, really sweet, delicious bread that they have. I love having that with some over easy eggs.
Really?
Oh, I love the combination of sweet and savory. I have always kettle corn. I could live off of kettle corn.
I love kettle corn. I do like kettle corn, but
it's just
something about for breakfast. I don't know something about. Although on the other hand, I like pancakes and syrup with bacon. And that's sweet.
It's sweet and savory.
So I'm a liar.
Listen, there are times when my family
I'm just a big fat liar.
When my family will order KFC and if we have leftovers, I will have the waffles with the
fried chicken.
With the fried chicken. Okay. And because I am a sucker for sweet and savory. I have always been a sucker for sweet and savory.
I do like sweet and savory. I've never thought about having raisin toast with those kinds of things.
Try it. You'll like it.
I may have to try it.
You may have to try it now.
Yes.
So, raisin toast, lightly buttered, and...
Raisin toast for poopy-doo.
Raisin toast for poopy-doo.
And Walter asks for the marmalade, and she's like, of course, darling.
Just domestic goddess all over the place.
Oh, Lord. Yes.
So, while Walter is now apologizing for last night. He's focusing on his breakfast while Maude is brandishing the pan.
Yeah.
She is ready to hit him over the head with the pan.
Yes. And I think they're discussing her to-do list.
Yes, where she goes over getting Walter's coat and suit from the cleaners.
Right.
Cleaning the kitchen. Then Walter says, painting the chairs.
Painting the chairs.
And she's like, painting the chairs. You've been on my back about that for weeks.
And she said, I already even bought the paint.
She already bought the paint. And so she goes over to she goes over to the sink, to which Walter then says, I was thinking of having you come to the store to work.
Yeah, you could find something for the little woman to do.
Something for the little woman to do. And he says, I'm sure there's something to keep you busy while you're at the store.
Yes.
To which Maude, with her back turned to the audience, says, something to keep me busy.
Yes, while those gritted teeth.
Yes,
you can hear the teeth grinding. And I think that's when she starts saying she's going to paint the chairs.
She's going to then
paint
the chairs. And she is shaking the can.
For all it's worth.
Oh, you old silly Billy. I'm going to take care of it now.
Yes.
So she's shaking the can vigorously.
Walter's trying to tell her, like, you don't have to do it now. You don't have to do it now.
Because Walter knows he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Walter is very well aware that he's in trouble.
And then she starts painting the chair. She starts painting Walter's
She says your Swiss watch, your French tie, your Italian suit, and your American mouth. And she's about to spray his mouth when he says, "Wait, Maude!"
Yes. And that's, I think, when the phone rings, too.
At that point, the phone rings, and it's Mr.
Curtis from the real estate office. The Kaplans are buying the house.
The Kaplans are buying.
So she's going to get her first
commission check.
Yes.
And at that point, this will be the last thing that she does. She says,
well, she's saying how you hear her side of the conversation. She's like, you have another lead for me?
Another lead, yeah.
And, apparently Mr. Kaplan wants, he likes the work she's doing, wants to give her more.
Because usually how it works, it's almost the same thing as when you're in voiceover. Like, you get a cut, but your job that you work for also gets a cut.
Right.
So everyone gets a piece of the pie. So a large commission means a larger check for your boss.
Exactly. And so she has to start explaining to Mr. Curtis that she's not going to
quitting my job.
She's retiring. Didn't she say she was retiring?
She was retiring, yes. And she says, I want my cards back, the ones that have my name on it, because it was addressed.
Yes.
That her cards and that her job is Maude Findlay. She is called Maude. She's not called Mrs. Walter Findlay.
Right.
And she says,
the cards, so in case she ever gets amnesia,
she can remember it. Maude Findlay.
Yes. And now you can see in Walter's face, you can see.
I'd be laughing hysterically, except I hear it gives you wrinkles.
Yes.
So as Maude is crying on the phone, you see Walter shift.
Yeah.
You see it because he was initially egregiously angry because his favorite suit is now covered in paint.
But now you can see he's
softened.
That,
yes.
This was important to Maude.
Because it made Maude feel independent. And that is the overarching theme of Maude. It's a woman's independence. It's a woman's right to choose. It's a woman's right to work. It's a woman's right to be given equal pay to her male counterparts. And that was one of the beautiful things about Maude. Like, I know that we addressed this a number of times, but the beautiful thing about Maude was that she was this sort of sword and shield for women's liberation during the 70s.
Yes.
And I feel like what Maude was going through was what a lot of women were going through in the 70s. They wanted that independence. They wanted their own occupation. They wanted their own identity. And she got that when she was working. So
she hangs up with Mr.
She hangs up with Mr. Curtis.
And Walter tells her to call
him back. And he stops and he goes, a man should do what he loves, and a man should do what he loves and do it well.
Yeah.
That's what he remembers saying it when being told it when he was younger.
Yes. And he said something about he saw her now as a person who is happy doing their own thing.
Yes.
And they're talking about how this problem is
behind us.
Behind
Maud
them.
says, now that we've addressed this,
Yes.
this problem is now behind us. And he goes, right, it's behind us. And Maud says, and ahead of us.
And ahead of us.
To the side of us, to the right of us, over us.
Yep.
And that's when we lead into the
epilogue.
And Maud is about to come home from work. Florida and Walter are patiently waiting for her to get out of the car.
Anxiously waiting. Yeah.
Anxiously.
Walter's like looking through the window to see when Maud is coming in.
Yep.
And I guess he sees her come. She's about to come in, so he runs onto the couch.
Florida
was sitting on the couch.
Florida was sitting on the couch, and Walter races to the couch and lays down in Florida's lap.
And he puts his head in her lap. And that's when Maud
enters furiously. What a day she's had at the office. And she says, Walter, that is not funny. Get up right now.
Get up.
So she moves Walter out of the way.
So that then she can say...
She turns to Florida and goes, oh, Florida, you don't believe the day I've had.
And she puts her head on
Florida's lap.
Which is a really funny way.
A very funny way to end the episode.
That was very, very funny. So,
I enjoyed that tremendously.
Yes, it was a very good episode.
It was a very good episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It doesn't matter whether the episode is from Maude or from, Good Times or just any sitcom where the writer is a woman. Mm-hmm. Genuinely tends to be a little bit more human and a little bit more funnier than when it's written by a man. Mm-hmm. At least in my studies, in my travels, I find that women writers tend to be more in tune with what's going on in the world than a man does.
Well, I think, traditionally, women have been guided to be more in tune with their emotion than
women are better at everything than men.
Not that a man can't be as in tune with their emotions.
True,
but generally, I think certainly in American society, men are generally not geared, to be that way.
Correct.
Even as young boys. You're always like, be a big boy. Big boys don't cry.
Big boys don't cry. Be a man. Toughen up.
Toughen up. Yeah.
Don't be a sissy Mary.
Yeah. And
we've all heard that in our worlds, haven't we?
We have.
We have.
Not the those ones in school that we the ones that were like locking us in lockers and. Knocking our books out of our arms.
Methinks the lady doth protest too much. Methinks the lady doth protest too much.
All those lovely things that we had happen to us.
Well, yeah. So, thank you for joining us on another marvelous episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter. If you would like to follow us, you can on all forms of social media.
Yes, we're everywhere.
Instagram is Finley's Friendly Appliances. Our YouTube channel is God'll Get You for That, Walter. Our Facebook page is God'll Get You for That, Walter. You can email us at finleysfriendlyappliances@gmail.com. Please email us and conversate with us. We would love to shout you out on the show. This is episode 31.
31.
Look at us go. Look at us do the thing.
Yay on us.
If you would like to follow me, you can at all forms of social media. That Tomcat, and that's ThatTomCatt, because there's always T to go around.
Yes.
And if you would like to follow this charming person.
Another T. Toni Homeperm. And of course, you can find me on Facebook.
Tony with an I.
Tony with an I. On Instagram. All those lovely social media platforms.
We thank you so much for listening, and you will hear us again on another episode of God'll Get You for That, Walter. Bye-bye, guys.
Good night.